Hello, Internet. My name is the Golden Stalfos, and today we're going to be continuing our long series where we review every single Zelda game ever made. I'm doing these ones a little bit out of order because I thought it was kind of important to address the mainline titles, kind of back to back, so we can draw more direct comparisons between them. But technically, these DS titles did come out sort of in between some of those mainline titles. But they're on the DS, and they were clearly not well developed, so let's just get into it. Okay. First, Phantom Hourglass. We'll do that one now, and we'll do the other one later. So, Phantom Hourglass would be an okay game, except for a couple of things. One, it's an unnecessary direct sequel to Wind Waker that doesn't really make sense as a side title, and if you were going to expand on the Wind Waker verse, why didn't you put those dev resources into making a version of Wind Waker that has all the content it was supposed to have? Just a thought. But, putting that aside, they also decided to do the stupidest thing possible with this game and make it so that absolutely 100% of the game controls are on the touchscreen. Because fuck you. We built this handheld console that has, 2 trigger buttons, 4 face buttons, a start button, a select button, a D-pad. But we're not going to use any of that. That's all bullshit. All we want is the touchscreen gimmick. Why they decided to do this, I have no idea. Literally, I can't think of any other games that just use the touchscreen like this, and it's not good at all. Every other game that uses the touchscreen uses it as like a complement or an option, or it's for a specific mini game, or something like that, and that makes sense, right? Like Fossil Fighters. Some of the best DS games in existence are the 2 Fossil Fighter games for Nintendo DS. The third one doesn't exist, don't look for it. So in these games, you go out into the world, you dig up fossils, you clean them up, archaeology style, and then you turn them into motherfucking battling dinosaurs. And then you fight in a tournament through like this story mode thing. And each game has a completely different story, and they're both completely off the rails nonsense bonkers in the best way possible. And yeah, honestly, they're pretty graphically impressive for DS titles. And the mechanical depth is great, and they're just good games. But anyway, the part where you clean the fossils is all done on the touchscreen. And you might think that's a minor part, but no, it's the central element. You spend probably twice as much time cleaning fossils as you do fighting with your dinosaurs. But you probably spend about the same amount of time looking for new fossils to clean. So it's really a core gameplay element. And you couldn't play the game without those touchscreen functionalities. So it's really, really weird to see a game that does this perfectly well and does fully rely on this gimmick, but also, still lets you use buttons and stuff because they're there. Why the fuck wouldn't you use them? You know? All of the Pokemon titles for the DS have that same function, right? You can use the buttons and the D-pad and everything to play like you always have, or you can use your stylus to directly interact with your menus. And, it's an RPG, so like you're interacting with menus like 99% of the time, right? Whether that's the battle menu or the talking to NPCs menus or your, item inventory menus, like there's a lot of menus. And it's just baffling to me to see games like that pull it off perfectly, that do exactly what they were supposed to do with it, and then go over to this, where it's just like all touchscreen all the time. What are buttons for? We don't know. Like, it's really crazy because like when it came time to make the 3DS title for The Legend of Zelda, they didn't use touchscreen only because it was stupid. And they quite rightly figured out that, hey, we can have regular movement up top and menu management down below, and that's really cool. And that's a thing that we do in Zelda games and in lots of other DS titles. So why the fuck is Phantom Hourglass touchscreen only? It's awful. And it's really awful because you have to use the touchscreen for everything, right? If you want to interact with something, if you want to move Link, if you want to attack, if you want to roll, if you want to do anything, you have to hit the touchscreen. But, like, it's really hard to, make a meaningful distinction between those actions when they all use the same input. And I think the game fails dramatically to do that. Because, like, there are many times throughout the game where you're walking and you're trying to go somewhere, and the game just thinks, oh, he's moving the cursor, so swing the sword, And there are many times throughout the game where you tap somewhere because you want Link to start walking in that direction, but you happen to accidentally tap on an interactable object, and so instead of walking in a way that you can control, Link just goes over and interacts with the object. If it's an enemy, he'll do an attack towards it, and if it's like a barrel or something, he'll pick it up. And it's... And again, there was no reason for this. There's absolutely no reason for this. We've already seen, Zelda titles with button controls on systems that had fewer buttons to work with. And now you have not only buttons, but also a touchscreen, and you decide to only use the touchscreen. Instead of making a proper use of all the tools at your disposal and really showing off what the console can do, you decide to arbitrarily hamstring yourself in the stupidest way possible. Congratulations, go fuck yourself. This game also revolves around the central gimmick of endlessly returning to the same dungeon and inching your way up it little by little until you reach the end of the game, which sucks. It's just not a very fun mechanic. It doesn't really add anything to the game. You're just kind of doing the same shit over and over again for padding. And as an added bonus, you have to, move back and forth between the tower each time, so guaranteed padding in travel time right there. And, that's a really shitty tactic to pad out the length of your game, and I hate it. So, congratulations, go fuck yourselves again. There's really just not much that's good to say about this game. It looks fine, I guess. I mean, it's a little pixelated, and shitty because it's on a DS screen. But I mean, I've seen worse DS titles, I guess. But, overall, like, ugh, what's the point? Oh, BTW, I tried to get footage for these games, but my DS capture. Well, I can't capture directly from a DS or 3DS. Like, I can't do that. So I was going to play them on an emulator. I know, naughty, and capture from that. But for whatever reason, OBS really does not cooperate with Desmune, which is the emulator I was using. Like, I tried to work through it for a couple of minutes, but I had to keep playing the game to try and collect footage, and then seeing the footage fuck up, and then, play more of the game and then see the footage fuck up, and I was just like, I already didn't want to play this game because it's terrible. I really don't want to have to replay it over and over again just to watch this footage fuck up over and over again, so I'm gonna just use the Wind Waker footage. Same diff. Can't tell a difference. Wind Waker is inarguably a better game, right? Like, Wind Waker suffers because it was rushed and they couldn't finish all the content they wanted to finish. And Phantom Hourglass suffers because it was a shitty, stupid, worthless design concept right from the word go, and it never should have been made, and I hate it. And so, it's kind of apples and oranges. So yeah, this is probably the first, like, truly irredeemably bad Zelda game. Like, Zelda 1 and 2, they've aged poorly. They weren't bad at the time, but they've aged poorly. Wind Waker was rushed and unfinished. Skyward Sword has, like, just the most confusing mess of pros and cons. Like, it has more bad marks against it than any other game, but also more, like, good things in it than any other game. And it kind of depends on what you want or what you focus on. Well, not more good things in it than any other game, but, like, almost as many good things as it has bad things. And yeah, I mean, Majora's Mask, like, I feel like I was a little too harsh on Majora's Mask when I reviewed it. But, like, it's good. It just, like, kind of falls short of what I think it could have been. But again, they had a year to build it, so, like, come on. But this is just truly bad. From concept to execution to everything about it is just shit. Shit I never asked for. Shit nobody ever asked for. Why is it here? Why are you feeding us this shit? I don't want to swallow this shit. Nobody wants to swallow this shit. Take it back. Please. So yeah, that's how I feel about Phantom Hourglass. It's dumb. I'm not going to talk about the story or the characters or any of that shit because that doesn't matter. You cannot fix this level of shit gameplay with good story or characters. And honestly, they're not that good. They're about average for Zelda standards, which already is kind of middle of the road, right? Like, Zelda's good, but it's not, like, great, right? Like, there's not a Zelda story that's, like, groundbreaking and mind-blowing, and you're gonna, completely change the way you think about storytelling in games because you played this Zelda title. Like, no, they're just good enough. But and I would say that this is pretty middling as a showing from Zelda. Like, there's nothing here that's impressed me. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next life. Laters. Okay, end card time. I'm supposed to tell you to like, comment, subscribe, all that stupid YouTube shit. There's a bell thingy, whatever. I have all the social media stuff: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Mostly I use Facebook and Twitter to tell you about my Twitch and YouTube uploads. I've got a Patreon, but Patreon is one of those things where people who can afford to throw away money give money to people who can't. And so if you can't afford to throw away money, then you shouldn't be doing that. And if you can afford to throw away money, consider charities. There's a pandemic, there's global warming, there's millions of people in the world who don't have toilets, which is just awful. So I've linked a few charities in the description down below in case you're interested in that. And if you can't donate money to a charity, consider donating some of your time, because that's also very useful. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.